I'd worked in that building for 3 years, and I was sure of one thing. There was no basement. But last night, at 2:43 a.m., I was reviewing some old maintenance blueprints. And that's when I saw it. A staircase drawn beneath the foundation. A staircase that led to a level marked with only one phrase: "Do not open." The next morning, when I returned to the building, everything had changed. There was a door at the end of the hallway where a solid wall had always been. It was old, concrete gray, and covered in dust, and it was already open. What do you think is down there? I stood in front of the door for a long time, convincing myself there had to be a logical explanation. Old buildings changed, renovations happened. Maybe I had simply forgotten. Still, my hand trembled as I pushed the door open. The air that came out wasn't just cold, it was stale, like it hadn't moved in decades. The light from the hallway barely reached inside, revealing concrete steps spiraling downward. No signs, no lights, no safety rails, just darkness. As a maintenance supervisor, it was my responsibility to check it. That's what I told myself as I grabbed my flashlight and stepped inside. The door shut behind me on its own. I turned instantly, heart pounding, but the handle wouldn't move. Not locked, just gone. Where the handle had been was now smooth metal, like it had never existed. My radio crackled. Static. Then a voice, my own. "Don't go down," it whispered. I froze. My radio wasn't even turned on. The steps ground beneath my boots as I descended. With each step, the temperature dropped. My breath fogged the air. The walls felt closer than they should have been, as if the staircase was tightening around me. At the bottom, the stairs ended abruptly in a long hallway. The walls were lined with doors. Each door had a name carved into it. One of them was mine. I didn't touch my door. Instead, I walked past it, scanning the other names. Some were scratched out. Some were layered, names carved over names, like someone had tried to erase them by force. From behind one door, I heard slow breathing. Another door thumped once hard enough to shake dust from the ceiling. My flashlight flickered, and for a brief second, I saw footprints on the floor ahead of me, fresh, leading deeper into the basement. I followed them, telling myself I needed proof, evidence, something to explain this nightmare. The hallway opened into a massive underground room. Chains hung from the ceiling. Old desks were bolted to the floor, each one facing a concrete wall covered in scratches. Not random scratches, tally marks, hundreds of them. In the center of the room sat a security desk with a monitor still running. The screen showed live camera feeds from above ground. I saw the main hallway, my office, the exit, and myself. I was standing upstairs, talking to a colleague, laughing. But I was still underground. The monitor changed to another feed. A camera inside this basement. The feed showed me standing in front of the screen, staring in horror. Then a new message appeared on the monitor. "Only one of you can leave." Behind me, footsteps echoed. Slow, heavy, familiar. I turned around. A man stood at the edge of the room, half hidden in shadow. He looked exhausted, older than me, his uniform faded and torn, but I recognized his face immediately. It was me, 10 years older. "You finally found it," he said calmly. My mouth went dry. "What is this place?" "The correction level," he replied. "The building makes mistakes. When it does, it fixes them." He explained everything too easily, as if he had repeated this speech many times before. The basement appeared when two versions of the same person existed, when a choice in the future caused a fracture. The building trapped both versions and kept one. The other was erased. I asked him how long he had been down here. He looked at the tally marks on the wall. Long enough to stop counting days. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flooded the room. The doors in the hallway began opening one by one. Hands reached out. Faces pressed against door cracks. People screaming, some begging, some laughing. My older self grabbed my arm. When the last door opens, the building decides. The final door creaked open. It was mine. Inside was nothing but a chair and a camera pointed directly at it. The screen flashed again. Sit. We argued, shouted over each other as the walls began to shift. The basement was changing shape, tightening like a noose. You don't understand, my older self yelled. If you sit, you'll become me. If I sit, I disappear. The screams from the hallway grew louder. The people behind the doors were pounding now, desperate to escape. I realized the truth too late. They were prisoners. They were the versions that lost. The chairs scraped loudly as I backed away. The building didn't like hesitation. The floor cracked beneath us. The lights burst overhead. The room began collapsing inward. My older self shoved me toward the chair. I already lived my life, he said quietly. You still can. As I fell into the chair, the door slammed shut. The camera light turned red. I heard him scream, not in pain, but in terror, as the room behind me folded into darkness. The last thing the monitor showed was his face, frozen mid-scream before the feed cut to black. I woke up on the floor of the hallway upstairs. I remember the splintering wood, the fall, but there was no basement door. No staircase, just a solid, seamless wall. Everyone said I just collapsed from exhaustion, a simple, dizzy spell. They even showed me the house blueprints, no basement, never had one. I quit my job the next day and tried to forget. Years passed, but sometimes late at night, I'll catch my reflection and see new wrinkles. A weariness in my eyes that wasn't there a moment before. And then, at exactly 2:43 a.m., my phone buzzes. It's a notification from a camera app I never installed. A live feed from a basement that doesn't exist. On the screen, I see myself older, exhausted, and trapped. He's just staring, waiting for the moment he finally gets to replace me.